Hi, Nelson.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm
I'm so excited to have you on. I've been fishing after you for a while, so
I know.
you've been playing these games with me. But thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on because you have been a profound figure in my life, in our community, and I know like what you've brought to the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I think you're just such you're just like a humble guy and like super grounded, and I just want to share your story because I think it's phenomenal that you've committed your life to the sport of jiu-jitsu and shared it with so many people. And I think it's really profound because I mean, to kind of give people, I know our community knows, and I know the jiu-jitsu community knows you, but also some of my listeners might not know the extent of like your commitment and what you do. But you're a coral belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Gracie, Baja. And can you speak to that, like the enormity of what that is and your commitment of like how many years you've committed your life to jiu-jitsu? Because I don't think a lot of people put that much time into something.
Yeah, Stephanie. First of all, it's an honor to be here at your podcast. And I'm excited too to talk a little bit about, I think that I've been doing for 41 years. 41 years, that's the time that I've been doing jiu-jitsu. And then few years ago, I was awarded to Coral Belt. What that means, right? Coral Belt. Coral Belt is a belt after black belt, but it takes 31 years as a black belt active for you to receive a Coral Belt. So it's not just to become a black belt and then sit on a chair and wait for a Coral Belt. No,
Yeah.
you got to be active, training, teaching, and as you know, I still competing at the master division. So I love the sport. And answer your question is 41 years doing jiu-jitsu and 31 years as a black belt and a few years as a Coral belt. So
That's amazing. And then, so going back to that, how old, and I don't know if you want to speak to this, but how old were you when you started?
I started jiu-jitsu when I was 14, 15 years old.
And did your parents put you into it? Did you want to start it? Or was it like something did you love it when you first tried it? Like, what was it that had you want to
Yeah,
try it?
I remember exactly like it was yesterday. I grew up in Copacabana Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back at that time, we had let me put it this way, the gang, each street in Copacabana Beach, we had like a bunch of kids, like 14 to 18 years old, hanging out in the corner of one of those, streets. And we used to have a lot of fights, street against another street. But a fight
Okay.
in a good way that it's one-on-one or a bunch of guys just, you scramble on the street and nothing to do. So we used to play soccer and,
So it wasn't like you were like trying to kill each other. It was just to fight.
it's just fight. It's just
Okay.
fight. Okay, let's fight.
Okay.
Great back at that time. And I remember this guy, I remember his name, Rodrigo. I saw him fighting a big guy. He was much bigger than him. And I was impressed the way he handled the guy. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, And I remember after that, I was asking him about, say, do you do any martial art? And then he said about Grace family. He's like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu here at the Grace Academy. And I remember that day, that night, I went home and I was talking to my father. I said, Daddy, have you heard about the Grace family? And he's like, yeah, I used to go to high school with Robson Gracie,
Oh, wow.
which is the father of Renzo Gracie.
Uh-huh.
And I said, yeah, I would love to, try. I know the school is right here, 2 blocks away from where I used to live. And my father took me to the next day. He's like, okay, let's go. And he took me to the academy, Copacabana Beach. And since then, I never stopped. I
It's
still like in
it's
love with
a love story ever since, right?
exactly.
Did you think at that time that it would like you would commit your life to it?
Not really. Definitely
Yeah.
not. I remember I was trying to go to college that time. I mean, when I became 18, I went to college. But since I was training, competing that time, but have in mind that I was going to leave doing what I love, doing jiu-jitsu for as a living, and no, I didn't have that in mind. Then I was training every day. I was,
Did you go? So you went to college in Brazil?
So I went to college in Brazil. I did physical education, and
Okay.
as soon as I finished college, was the time also that I received my black belt, and I came to California. I wanted to surf. I wanted to, see the lifestyle of California. I always grew up with friends talking about California dream, and so I decided to uh, come to California at that time, and that's how I ended up coming to San Diego, specifically in Cenitas, and the whole thing started from here.
I love that. So I want to go back though, because you started in I'm gonna probably say it wrong. Copacabana. I like it so much better how you say it. Copacabana Beach. And you got into the Gracie family, and I remember I was listening to some stuff and doing some research that there were two different schools within the academy that you started at?
Yes. Wow, you did a homework, huh?
I did my home. I told you I've been reading up on you.
Yeah, was. That time, my instructor, my master brother, Rose Gracie. Fortunately, he passed away when he was 33. And but he used to teach Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturday. And then Carson Gracie used to teach Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, something like that. And we used to split it the academy with Carson Gracie, and then of course that time his brother passed away. Then Carlos took over the school, and then he ended up going to Barra da Tijuca, which is a neighborhood about 20 minutes away from Copacabana Beach.
Okay. So going back, when there's two different academies, are they the same? It was the same family?
Yeah, they were cousins.
So how?
The family is so big, even then I'm being for all those years, the family is like so big. Sometimes I don't know if it's cousin, if it's brother. Okay.
And they never, like, because I know Blair is like, you have to learn the lineage. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. I'm in my lineage, and I get it. Like, he loves, I'm committed to my lineage. But so I don't understand. So do they, each family member, like, develop their own, like, different type of jiu-jitsu?
No. It's a different way to teach approach, but the jiu-jitsu is the same. It was taught by Carlos or Helio. And then Helio Gracie had many kids, like example, Royce Gracie, Horion Gracie.
Was there like 20? There's like 20 of them, right?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how many exactly, but that's Helio.
Can't count.
Had other kids like my instructor, Carlos Gracie Jr., Crowley Gracie, Rose Gracie, and keep on. So each one, he start having their own, like Rickson and Royler, they're brothers, so they start their own Grace Academy. They call Humaitá. Humaitá is another neighborhood in Brazil, in Rio. So they call Humaitá, Gracie Humaitá, which is a neighborhood, Humaitá. And then instead, Carlos opened a Gracie Barra and called Carlos or Gracie Barra. He didn't want to put his name on it because he wants to everybody to go to the school, not thinking about him, but I think about having a good jiu-jitsu classes in there, right?
Right.
So Carlos went to Barra, but the whole family, they have their own jiu-jitsu academy, their own but it's the jiu-jitsu that was taught by Helio and Carlos, which are the same.
So are they rivals, or is it like a big rivalry between the
Really,
different schools?
they do, but in a good way, especially nowadays,
Okay.
and even back at that time, yes, was. But of course, like example, Rickson had his own school, his own students. Carlos has his own school, his own students. So we had tournaments there.
Mm-hmm.
So we put the students from Carlos, we fight the students from Rickson, that will fight students from another guy. So that's how we start having tournaments, right? Actually, I heard a story from Carlos saying that's a star tournament because they used to go to Teresópolis. This is a mountain place. They used to have a house there. And so there are a bunch of the Gracie brothers, Gracie cousins. And I had a school. So they used to say, oh, man, I have this guy is really good in jiu-jitsu. And the other one, oh, well, my guy is much better than your guy. So what would be a good way to
That's crazy.
it's a tournament. Let's do a tournament so I can show you that my student is going to beat your student. And so that's
that's funny because they're making it like I'm a better teacher or I'm better at jiu-jitsu and my people will prove it.
exactly.
Is it like, so what had you want, like, was it a conscious decision, like when you, like who you chose, what teacher to study under, or was it just like you liked his style or the timing? Was it like a conscious decision of like who you studied under?
Not really. When I started, nowadays, yes, right? Nowadays, you can Google it, you can, find out which one, fits you better.
Mm-hmm.
That time, you're going to start jiu-jitsu, pretty much was the only school.
Right.
Rio de Janeiro was there.
Which is wild, right? There's so many more schools now.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
Yes, much more. And but at that time, it was the only one. It was the Grace already, the best school you could go.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I started with my right foot on it, because I can imagine a better instructor than Master Carlos and, all the lineage that is behind him of his father and family. So.
And that's so amazing because when you started, you're literally learning from him, right?
Yep.
That's amazing. And so you started at 14 and then you went, by the time you graduated from college, you were a black belt.
Yes.
And then you were just like, I'm going to move to California. Like with nobody, did you know people in California or you're just like, why California?
I didn't want to move here. I just wanted to come over and, spend a few time here just surfing and, get to know California.
Oh, wow.
Then I fell in love with this place. And actually, I landed in LA. LA, I went to San Clemente for 3 days. And then I had a guy that it's not even I knew the guy, and he offered for me at that time and my wife to stay over at his place for a few days, and then we end up coming to Encinitas, and then from Encinitas, we stay, and we decided to stay longer and longer, and
Oh, okay, so you got married, like, so were you married in Brazil?
No, it was a girlfriend actually.
Okay.
Then we end up getting married.
Okay.
Years later, but we came and started living together. I mean, marriage to me is, what I mean, it was there at that time. But she was my girlfriend at the time.
Okay, so you came to America together. She came with you when you came. Okay.
Yes.
And then you went to school and you're just gonna spend some time here, and then you wound up staying, and you moved, and then you ended up staying in Encinitas.
Yes.
And then you were like, we're trying to figure out what you would do to like make money or like how to survive.
Yeah. Yes, I have a few jobs like a Pizza Hut. I was delivering
Oh,
pizza.
really? And you were still training because I'm assuming at that time, like, was jiu-jitsu wasn't very like popular.
No, not at all. You
Not
can't
at
even
all.
more
I
here.
know, that's great. I love your stories too, and of course we're
Yeah.
gonna get into those stories of like when you started teaching and all that. But so you came here, you're doing all these odd end jobs, and you
Yes.
started teaching because you're
And
training and you have no one to train against, right?
no, because the whole thing started when I was that time I was delivering pizza and I was delivering newspaper and from San Diego Tribune that time.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of mine living in San Diego, PB, he used to live in this house and he put some mats at his house. And he invited me to go and start teaching him and his brother.
Mm-hmm. Is he American or Brazilian?
No, he was Brazilian. He was in college here.
Okay.
And so I ended up going to his house twice a week to teach him and his brother. And then a lot of Brazilians started showing up, friends and, friends of friends. And then when I saw, I was teaching like for 10 guys, 15 guys in the garage.
But all Brazilian.
All Brazilians.
Okay. So, yeah.
All Brazilians. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to open a school because, why not start make some money, teaching. I'm already teaching those guys. So I'm going to start charging and start make some money, extra money. I open a school, I rent a garage, 2-car garage in PB, putting mats, and start teaching those guys. And the funny thing was, when I was teaching those guys for the first month, I decided to do like, you guys can train for the entire month, but you pay me the end of the month.
Oh, like you're gonna love it so much that you're gonna want to pay me.
They're gonna pay me, but they already training with me in the friend's house. So, and the day that I opened it, I would remember like I would say 20, 25 guys. Like,
cool.
Bitch, right?
Yeah.
That time training was like, and then 2 weeks later, I would say 15 guys. And then I'm going to start getting close to the payment day.
Oh, they'd go.
They're all gone. I was like,
then they come back at the beginning of the month again.
I was like, and then I remember that this guy, Marcelo, he has a school today, Sorrento Valley, Marcelo Pereira. He was the only one that I continue coming and paying, and and some days I would go there, drive all the way in Encinitas to PB, and he's the only one in class. So I had to teach him like 101, so it's private classes. And then after 3 months, I said, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm going to close this garage. I'm going to rent a house at Village Park here in Encinitas.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, was delivering newspaper, delivering pizza. And if guys start coming, over my house to train, that's fine. I'm already at my house. Who cares, right?
Were you going to charge them at the beginning of the month?
Yes, definitely. Well, whoever's going to come in here, I got to pay right away.
Yeah.
And I opened the garage. I rent a house there with 2-car garage. And believe it or not, guys that was there, they are not coming. Now they are driving all the way to Encinitas and paying advance.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I remember was less than a year. I had the city hall knocking my door. They gave me 30 days notice to leave to stop what I was doing in the garage because I had so many students, and the neighborhood start complaining. All the neighbors calling them, hey, because guys park in the street, and
And
I had,
are they at this point? Because also just to go back, Marcelo was actually Blair's first teacher. So that's
yes,
cool that you taught Marcelo. So what are they all Brazilians at this time, or now are you getting
more
you're getting
actually, there was more Americans than Brazilians.
so how did you like how did you start building? Was it just word of mouth that
Word of
people
mouth.
that's
That is,
awesome.
yeah, that's exactly what happened. One American will bring a friend that, usually they will bring a big guy because they'll say, man, this, not your big guy, and put it chokes all over me. So the guy will come, I'll take them and wrestle with those guys and, choke them left and right. And then they all hooked. They'll come and bring another
Yeah.
friend. That's how, I build my,
And are you like building the curriculum at this time? Or are you learning the curriculum from Carlos, or like how are you like learning how to like take what you've learned through this journey of becoming a black belt to now like teaching somebody?
it's from my mind, whatever would
Mhm.
come in my mind at that time. Like,
Mhm.
of course you have idea what are the positions that you should be teaching beginners, right? Like
Mhm.
bridge. You
Mhm.
always have, basic fundamental techniques, but it was out of my mind. We didn't have curriculum that time. It was just, whatever.
And I love like because just recently you gave I think I forget what degree was, but one of your black belts now he came to our school to get was it his second degree? I forget what degree was, but he was like one of your first students, and I love your stories about like your students that you've had for so long coming back and getting their degrees on their black belt, and hearing your stories of like when you used to train in your garage and stuff. Was it like I know now we have a curriculum that we follow and there's like order. Was it like more hardcore? I always just hear like in the old days we were just hardcore and just went for it versus now I don't know if it's like I don't want to say softer because it's they call it the gentle art, but like was it more hardcore back then?
We didn't have, that's how we learned it, right? We used to be more like you go in and you do your own warm up and then you roll. That's how you learn. That is the way we do today. Definitely, if I have to choose, I'll pick this today because it's easier for you to learn the technique, and it's used for you to, you can see the achievement like coming. Oh, I want to get the belt. Oh, I'm going to get a stripe on this. We didn't have that. It was pretty much just roll, roll, roll. And, I think today it's much easier for everybody, for the instructor, for the students.
Yeah.
You have a direction to go. You have before we just the direction is just training as hard as you can. It's very hard on the
Mhm.
body. As you know, even then we have a curriculum, we have classes, uh, organized. We have, but it's not an easy martial art. Maybe that's why it makes jiu-jitsu so addictive, so like you want more because you know.
Yeah, it
So
really is. And honestly, I love this too. When I did it, I actually had no interest in doing it. I thought I was actually going to do Krav Maga. I mean, I think you kind of know I had some stuff happen to me, and but it was like many years later. But I just felt like I was like violated. So then I just went to. I was like, I have to protect myself. So I went to a self defense class, and I had no interest in doing it. And then I found myself in the class, and after a month I was like, I was sleeping, I was waking up thinking about it. All I want to do is train because you're just like, oh my gosh, this like it was so addicting. And I used to get mad at Blair, and I've talked about this story on the podcast before. Like he would go for hours, and I'm on like Saturdays and Sundays, and I'd be like, what are you doing all day? And then after like doing the first month, he's like, come on, 70, we gotta go. Cause I was now the one at school just being there for like 3 or 4 hours and just like not wanting to leave. And one, I like contribute that to you and Hoff, like just creating this amazing community. Like the people there, it just does feel like home, like going there. And, it's just, you guys have created a phenomenal, like, just energy and presence there. And there is something really raw about the sport because you're vulnerable, like people are in your space, you're like have to trust your partner, but there's just something about it that you just get so connected with the people, and you just because you have to trust your partner. And there's just something really raw about it and really vulnerable that's really special. It's a really special sport. It's helped me a lot in my life and just opened my eyes to so many more things than I even knew. It's been really amazing.
Yeah, I think jiu-jitsu has this, right, Steph? Gives you the sense of family, right? Sometimes you say, man, this is my second family. For some people there, it's the first family.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
another thing that I still, I know for a fact. I know for some guys, it's the first family. It's that sign up for jiu-jitsu. You're not just signing up for the techniques, and you sign up for jiu-jitsu. When you say jiu-jitsu is a lifestyle, just we do the sport, we do this, that we know what you signing up for, right? Friendship is you having a bad day, and always gonna have someone there to talk to you, to put a hand on your shoulder and comfortable you. And jiu-jitsu give you that, give you whatever you need inside of the school. You're gonna have. You need a friend, you need a plumber, you need a lawyer, you need a doctor. You have everything in the jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
And that's why people don't understand when you said that funny. You say, oh man, Blaise used to stay hours there. You can't stay hours as jiu-jitsu.
And half the time I'm not even training, I'm talking. you know? And Blair always says, he's like, Stephanie, you're leaving like a relative, because I just like I'm there. And he's like, come on. Now he's like pulling me out. But it's such and like we were talking this morning, and I'm like, so why I started jiu-jitsu is completely different to why I do it now. And it's like it is part like me, like a lot about the community and just perfecting the art, or like I want something different than why I originally started. And that's what's so beautiful, because it is a journey. It's I don't know.
Contact, right? Is you touching the person, and is you it's like I like to say, like, imagine your life today before jiu-jitsu. Did you have especially when you're already blue purple belt, right? Look at how many friends you have today through jiu-jitsu, because of. So if you take jiu-jitsu away from your life, think about before. You're going to be like, oh man, maybe I wouldn't have so many friends, good friends that I have today. And then take out jiu-jitsu, what I'll be doing, what I'll be, I can leave. The day that jiu-jitsu is not life, I think I'm going to be dead, because all my friends.
Yeah, they won't let you go.
That's the thing. I'll be in a wheelchair, I'll be inside the school talking with my friends,
Yeah.
Just give us that.
I know, it's cool that you say that, because I was like talking to Blair, I was like in preparing, and I was like, how does like Master Carlos, like he still trains, and how old is he now? Like in his 70s?
It's 6.
How old?
66.
66. I mean, and again, like does he train every day? Is he?
Yes.
What is that mindset like? I mean, and I guess you can speak for yourself, because the same thing, I mean, you've been training for 41 years. There's got to be a mindset in that. And like you say, jiu-jitsu is a way of life. Because there's days I'm like, I don't want to go, but I'm like, but I have to go. And it's like, there's a mindset there. And you've been doing it longer than anyone. Like, what is that like for you?
Stephanie, I think injuries, right? Specialists that I know also when I say especially you two, you used to do, you're still doing, I don't remember if it was CrossFit or whatever, right? But you always doing something, right? And even then we do it in a perfect form. We take care of ourselves. We do. One day our body is a machine. We're gonna start feeling a little bit shoulder, knee, hip, back, neck, right? So what I always say is that still seeing a lot of this. People has a little pain here, pain there. and they think I'm going to stay home, I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
If I stay home every day when I wake up, if I tell myself, oh, I may have pain today here and there, oh, I'm not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do anything anymore in my life.
Right.
Because every day there is something that I feel, oh, today's my neck or my shoulder,
Right.
but I keep it doing it. Of course, in a good, you needed to know, like, okay, I needed to take a break on this injury. I needed to, and I think also jiu-jitsu, you start learning the way your body responds. You learn the way I should avoid today this technique, or I should not train it today. Let's do just the technique. And because if you rely on feeling pain to train or not.
Ooh, I love it. You there? You there?
No, it was
Okay.
me. Yeah, we're gonna be. I can tell. All the guys that I know, especially Master Carlos, he's like that. If he's feeling really bad, he's low. I know he has a lower back problem. He won't train. But if his lower back's fine, he'll be trained.
Yeah.
So if his lower back is fine every day, he's gonna be training every day.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. If I can, I train every day, unless I'm really like my shoulder's sore or my neck. I don't have a good neck anymore. But that's how it. That's my mindset. Like I gotta go. I love doing this.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I mean, I feel like people can be having injuries from doing nothing too, right? So
Yep.
like being sitting still, you can still be like feeling the pain. So why not be doing something that you love? And honestly, I think right there, if you have the context in your head of something that you love, your body will figure it out, right?
No, especially jiu-jitsu. The only way to get good is consistency, being, um, uh, being doing this every day, training, and you got to do something every day. That's my
Yeah.
mindset. If I'm not doing jiu-jitsu because my shoulder is really sore, I'm doing legs, I'm doing stairs, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I do something every day. That's my mindset. I have to do something every day.
And I think that's what's such an amazing example of you. And you are like, you're a master, like you reached, once you got your curl belt, you're considered a master, right?
Yeah.
And what is that feeling like? Like, what was the feeling like when you received your coral belt? I mean, there's got to be so much emotion in that.
It is. It's a way to, all those years doing something that I love. I love what I do. It's like I don't have a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being in the art for all those years, I saw a lot of transformation in the art. I feel like I'm gonna leave the day that I die. I'm gonna leave a legacy, which is the ADCC. I started the ADCC.
Mm-hmm.
This is something
I would definitely want to talk about that too.
Yeah. And I think belt is important. Yes, I think it's accomplished, especially going to get a black belt, you get a coral belt. But the most important is also I see today that there's a lot of people receiving coral belts there that they are not training, they are not competing, they are not teaching, and they're receiving coral belts just for the fact of coral belts nowadays. It's very like everyone that old school guys, but I know for a fact a lot of those that I have a coral belt today, they stopped training for a long time ago, and today they're receiving. My point is that it's not the belt itself. Of course, I think it's nice, receive you deserve, but it's the feeling of you did something for the art. It's not for a coral belt and
I love that. Yeah, like you gave back to the sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's cool because I mean, not only did you bring, like, you've been a profound figure bringing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the United States, like you've had a huge impact in that, but now you went into the ADCC, which of course I wanted to talk about, and let's go there. So what is that?
ADCC, the meaning of those four letters is Abu Dhabi Combat Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, United Arab Emirates, which is I believe it's 7 cities that makes the UAE, which is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and then Bahrain, and then other cities in the UAE. And I met a guy here in California at my school that time in Del Mar. Because going back when I said the city hall knocked my door, I had to move. I ended up going to rent a place in Del Mar.
Okay.
And moved my school to Del Mar. It was even before UFC. UFC came in 1993.
Oh, wow. So you're actually teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before UFC even became a thing.
Way before.
Way
before. When
awesome.
ADCC came, there was a boom, of course, helped a lot.
Okay.
It was way before ADCC.
Okay. And so then the UFC happened and there was like an influx of people then. And then you're teaching now because the city came, you then moved your school to Del Mar and now you're teaching at Del Mar and then one of your students came.
This was about 1991, 1992. He was the son of the president of UAE.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he came, he started training with me. I didn't know.
What was he doing here?
He was studying business.
Okay.
And he came to my school with another guy, and he ended up signing up. He came in, I gave him the gi, and took him to the mats. We roll.
Did you know who he was? Like when he came in, you just like he was any other student?
He never told me until a week before he had to leave back to Abu Dhabi.
Because and of course he paid you up front, right? He paid you up front.
No, he used but the other guy that are always with him, the one that used to pay for everything.
Okay. Was he his bodyguard?
No, he was like his right arm. He's the guy that will do everything for him. If he needs a car, he'll buy a car for him. He needs this, you know what I mean? So
he made him, and then he made him train too.
he trained too. And he ended up signing up to him and a bunch of the guys because he was in US with a bunch of guys.
Okay.
And then he signed up and we became really good friends. I knew he had money because he had a lot of different cars, like really nice cars. And I used to ask him like normal conversation, what do you do on your country? He's like, oh, my parents is in the construction business. And then a week before he finished college, he was blue belt already. And then he made my business proposition to go to Abu Dhabi with him. And then he told me that day who he was and, his real name, because we used to call him Ben.
Okay. And so what's his real name?
Sheikh Tarnoum Ben Zayed Al Nahyan.
Yeah. I'll refer to you on that one because I'm not even going to attempt saying that. I saw it. I knew that. I was like, yeah, I don't know how to say that. I'll call him Ben.
I remember he telling me his name in the restaurant. We were in a restaurant having lunch. And then when he said his name, I was like, what? Probably asking him to say his name 100 times.
So he proposed to you to go to Abu Dhabi and teach jiu-jitsu or start the fight club there?
No.
Oh.
Well, that time I was separating from my wife. That time.
Okay. And you had Vicky. You had your daughter. You didn't have Vicky yet.
No, Vicky born in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, she was? Wait, so you were separating?
Yeah, we're separating. We separated for a year and a half.
Okay. But did she so she came with you, your wife? Okay.
I have to come back to me.
Okay.
Time I didn't want to go because I was separating and and then the UFC started. I was making a lot of money at the school.
Oh.
So, so I said,
Wait, what was, sorry, what was his proposal?
His proposal to go to UAE and keep teaching him there. He wants to continue the
Oh,
class.
he just wanted you to teach him.
Exactly. Him and his brothers.
And was he going to offer you like a good amount of money?
No, that's what I was going to say. So I didn't want to go, right? So I said, Tarnum, why you don't do something? I was thinking, I'm going to ask him a lot of money because he asked me to ask him make a business proposition. How much would you want to, you know? So I remember I came home and I was thinking, I said, you know, the guy's he owns the country. So it doesn't matter if you do an agreement, a contract. What am I gonna do? Contract with the guy owns the country, right? So I said, I'm gonna ask him a lot of money. And of course he's gonna say no. And then every 2-3 months, I go there, spend 2-3 weeks and teach him and then come back to US. That was my idea. So I'm going to ask him a lot of money. He's going to say no for sure. And then I say, okay, why don't you do something then? Every 2-3 months, you give me the match and I go there and teach you and come back. So 2-3 days later, we had another lunch. So he's asking me, okay, what is your deal? What do you have in mind? I said, Tarnum. And I told him that. I said, listen, you own the country. If I do a contract with you, my school here, it's booming. It's like, I'm making so much money. Why am I going to go to your country? You know, right now. So to be worth for me to leave all this, my school, it's, I wanted that much. Stefan, he didn't even blink.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, good. And I remember telling him the amount of money, and then he's like, okay, deal. And then I was like, holy.
Oh, no. You were supposed to say
no. Say no, right? And then I said, you know, for their money, I have to go. So the only thing he asked me was...
Wait, and then did you also say that you were only going to go every 2 to 3 months?
No. Then for their money, he wants me to live there.
Okay. Was it like a certain amount of time that you were going to do that, or was it like indefinite?
No, the idea was he'll give me that much of money plus a salary, and every 3 months I could leave for 21 days.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
An agreement of 2 years.
Okay.
So he asked, I want you to go for a week, and then if you like, done deal. We close the deal.
And how old is he? Because he's just graduating from college. So is he like in his 20s?
I would say I'm probably 2 years older than him, I would say.
Oh, really? So he was like going to school and he was like...
He wasn't
like 20 years?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, 27, probably 28.
So he can make that decision and be like, yeah, I'm going to pay you this amount of money, no problem.
Oh, yeah. He did.
He did.
So for them, I was like, I don't need you to go to your country to see it. It's done deal, right?
Okay.
And okay, I'll go for a week. So I ended up going for a week there, came back.
And I'm assuming he's paying for your living accommodations, right?
Everything separately.
Yeah.
The only thing is food I had to pay.
Oh, really?
For my food, yes.
Interesting.
The rest for him.
Okay.
Car, apartment. I choose my apartment. I choose my furniture. He paid for everything.
And at this time, you're by yourself because now your wife didn't go with you?
Yeah, but Lorena at that time, it was Brazil, Abu Dhabi. She helped me to find a place because I stayed for 3 months at the Sheraton Hotel.
But you're getting separated and she was still coming with you?
No, but we kind of back and forth. She'll come for 2 weeks and then we leave to Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went for your 21 days, were you coming back to the US or going to Brazil?
Both. Sometimes I'll go to the US and then I'll go to Brazil. and then I
Cool.
would go back to Abu Dhabi.
Look at you. So now you're going and you gave up your school. What did you do with your school at that time then?
After with Marcelo Pereira.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then so then you're in Abu Dhabi and what's that experience like for you?
Stephanie was awesome. Was I had a life of a sheikh, you know.
And what
But
is that like? So are you living in his house? Are you living on their quarters? Or you're like
in one apartment, the
okay.
best area you could live in Abu Dhabi. You know, it's an area. It's called Corniche at the time. It's facing the ocean. I was living in this huge apartment duplex. You know, driving 2 cars. I had 3, 4 employees at my house, work at my house. You know, nanny. We had maid. We have a cleaner. We had everything you can imagine. You know, plus the fact of anything you need, you do this, someone would do for you.
Right.
You
So
you work for
did
the
you
son
feel
of the
lonely though? Like cuz I mean I know are you just teaching him at this point or are you growing a school there too?
for the first year was just him,
Uh-huh.
and I had idea and then the first jiu-jitsu world was in Brazil,
The
and I had
first Jiu-Jitsu World,
yes
is
was in
that
Brazil,
like a competition?
yes, which
Okay.
is most prestigious tournament today in
Okay.
jiu-jitsu, right?
Okay. And
And
that's
I
all that's all the schools, all like the
all
Brazilian
this
Jiu-Jitsu schools. Okay.
around the world. Um,
Just to
and
give some context
yeah,
for listeners.
people say, and then I took 7 guys from my school here in San Diego, and I took them to Abu Dhabi. I trained them, and then I
Oh,
flew.
really?
Yeah,
So
it
you took
was
7 students from the US to Abu Dhabi for how long?
for 40 days.
And they lived with you, I guess,
Yes,
to train them to
to
go to Worlds.
the world.
So you were still like kind of in contact. You didn't just like get up and leave. Yeah, Marcelo was teaching your students, but you were still like in contact with
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yes. And then they went to Abu Dhabi, and then from there went to Brazil for 30 days, and all paid for with Tarnum was sponsoring everything. And then we did very well. I had 1 world champion, and we have
Oh.
a 3rd place, which is big deal too.
Who was the
So
world champion?
was Sean Alvarez.
Okay. And
Is
was he American?
He was American.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was American.
And you trained him and he won the world champion
It
and then you had a third place. Who was your third place?
was Mark Wolf. He lives in San Diego too.
Okay. Do they still train with you? I mean, I
They
no.
stopped. Wolf to not train anymore, and Sean is living in Mexico now.
Okay. So they won. And then at this point, is this like the first time they had the world champ? Is this
Yeah,
like the first world championship and it was
in
in
Rio.
Brazil? And then you like train your students and then the sheik was sponsoring them.
Yes.
How did that happen? Like how
I
did he
I said, Tarno, I think is a great opportunity for us to show, people is going to ask, oh man, those guys training Abu Dhabi, and then we can have, which we did, every gi had the flag of Abu Dhabi on the gis, representing Abu Dhabi.
mm,
And so we did very well in the tournament. When we came back, Tarno wants to me to do a MMA event in Brazil.
an MMA event in Brazil? Why Brazil and not
Because
there?
the UFC, most best fighters in the UFC at the time was Brazilians.
Okay.
And so Tarno wants to do a tournament equivalent to UFC.
Okay.
So let's start doing Rio, Brazil. And then from there, if things go well, we can start, promoting, so we came up with a tournament, MMA tournament in Rio.
Oh,
Then I put a
cool.
lot of guys.
Is that called the ADCC or was it just something different? Okay.
So now we never spoke. We never. No. ADCC already was on the guys because when I went there, we opened a school so we could be training those students of mine that I came from San Diego.
Okay.
And then started we put in the name ADCC.
Okay.
Right.
And then you went to Brazil and you were starting this MMA fight there.
Didn't do well because it was a big fight at the end of the night with Renzo Gracie and Eugenio Tadeu. It's luta livre against jiu-jitsu with Renzo fighting at the end.
Is like their match fight or like outside of the whole event there was a huge fight?
Inside of the stadium. It was a big riot. It was like crazy.
How did you know to like even put that together? Is it just because you have oops, I lost you again. How did you know like to like put people together to like, is it just because your relationship of being in Brazil and knowing all the people to fight that you just like, how did you know to put a fight like an event together?
Yeah, being the environment, you know what's going on, who is, that time, who is a good fight, what will be a good match, plus you have friends to help you out. Okay, let's put this guy instead of that one,
And so you put this whole big event together and then a big fight broke out?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And then it was, Cardone was like, definitely we can't keep doing this in Brazil.
Right.
Because wasn't the result we're expecting, and that's when then.
Wait, but I'm so confused but didn't you want to fight, or it wasn't like the competitors were fighting? Was it a fight like outside of the two people fighting? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it's luta livre students against jiu-jitsu.
Oh, what is the other one?
It's called luta livre.
What is that?
It's kind of like jiu-jitsu with no gi that time.
Oh, okay. So it was them again, and this whole brawl just broke out?
Yes. It was like the whole chairs flying, and it was a mess.
What do you think triggered that? Was it like planned, or what happened? Because when you started this event, this MMA event, was it going to be no gi, or was it gi like fighting? Because you've only
MMA is no gi, nothing. It's just like
okay, because you've only trained. Have you only trained with the gi?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You can even never did any martial art, and you can put an MMA together event.
Okay. Okay. So that happened, and then he's like, no go.
No go.
So then you go back, like, but he still wanted to continue to train?
Tarno?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So then you went back to Abu Dhabi.
I went back to Abu Dhabi and didn't work out. Then he wants to do an MMA event in his country. He's like, let's do here. And then his father didn't like the idea because his father is totally against violence. And he thought that MMA is a violence sport. So he didn't. So we had to not cancel another MMA event in his country. Right?
Oh, so you put it all together. Were you taking then Brazilians there?
Yeah, I mean, if going to happen, yes, then we do the, let's start, okay, let's put this fight, that one. But it didn't happen because his father didn't want that to happen.
Okay.
So we had to cancel the idea of MMA in Abu Dhabi.
And then what happened?
And then after that, that's going to the idea of do a tournament with no gi. Then his father would say, okay, because there is no punch, there is no kicks, it's just a grappling match.
Okay.
Right? So that's when we came up with the idea of start doing the ADCC, like the big tournament without no gi. And that's going to ADCC, he offering a lot of money prize. Until today is the biggest money prize of any event pay. So it's everybody's dream is to fight ADCC, right?
Yeah, and that's an invitational event, correct?
Yeah, you can invitational or you fight the qualify. You gotta qualify fighting. I don't. Each country has their qualify. It's a tournament that you go. You do like 3, 4, 5 fights, and then if you win, you have the right to go to ADCC.
How cool is that? So you created this whole like tournament. How cool is that? That's so awesome. So you created this tournament and it's still going on today. So when like what time period is that?
Every 2 years.
No, like how long ago was the first one? Like
It's
what
gonna
time period?
almost 2 years ago because this year is gonna be another ADCC.
No, no, no. When was the very first one? Like what year was the very first one?
Was in 2000. I was there 95 to 2000. Good question. I would say 1999. No. Yeah, 1999 to 2000.
So what year we're in 20? So it's like over 20 years. Am I
Yeah.
counting that right? Over 20 years it's been going on and you
Yeah.
created that?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So did you start the rule like did you put all the rules together and all that like that it's going to happen every 2 years and all that stuff? Did you set all that up?
Yeah, every 2 years, yes. And the rules as the tournament start happening, go change a little bit here. And then after two more years, after the end of my contract, I left Abu Dhabi.
Mhm.
I know the rules continue changing. Like every tournament is like IBJJF is like that. Every year they come up with as things
I'm
start
sure
going
as it evolve. Yeah.
involved.
So do you still have a part in the planning of it or are you like
No, I'm
separated from it?
separated completely. I don't have contact with Tarno anymore, unfortunately. He became very busy. His father passed away. His position today in the country is very, high, and I don't know even if he's still training.
Training. Yeah. So who carries on the tournament?
He has, you know,
People.
people running.
Yeah.
As usual, they don't. Even in the beginning, he always has people doing it.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact he's very busy nowadays. Very, like I said, became very important on his country.
Yeah.
So what are going on today in the world for him to, you know, be running tournaments.
Yeah. Well, I
Right.
love that. And going back to what you're saying, like what your coral belt means to you is like giving back to the sport and what you were able to give and provide to it is not only like teaching. So, I mean, you've taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and like you have given so much to the sport is like, what do you like? Is that like, yeah, that's like your legacy, right? It's like,
Yeah, it's through jiu-jitsu. I believe that our main uh, goal here is to, as a human being, is to help. And jiu-jitsu
mm-hmm.
give me this tool to continue changing people's life. I know through jiu-jitsu, all those years I haven't changed so many lives, and I hope to continue change until my last day. Uh,
Yeah. And I
but
totally get that from you. You know, like I said, you're like such a big deal, but yet you're so humble, like you're just so fun and always so happy and like positive. And I love that because you like you walk in and you're just happy and it just changes the day, right? If someone's having like a hard time or going through something or they're caught up in work and you just come in and you just have a flow about you that's just so you're like hardcore, but you're like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. I'll just kill you.
that's all I say. We have only one life. We got to do something about it.
It's true. It's true. So when you came back, you were there in Abu Dhabi for 5 years.
almost no, four.
Four.
Yeah,
And then you had Victoria when you were there.
in Abu Dhabi.
Uh
Yes.
huh. Which I know
Sleep.
she's the love of your life. Yeah,
Yes.
she's such a beautiful, beautiful human too.
I was
And I've
with
had
her, and I was telling her, "Oh, we're gonna be in a podcast with Stephanie." She's like, "Oh my god, it'll be awesome."
I love her. I got to the funny circle about that is I used to coach her in CrossFit. So she's
Uh-huh.
like kind of CrossFit. Yeah, she's a little ripper, that one. She's just like full of energy. I
Yes.
love it. And then when you came back, you just took over your school again, or did you have to start over, or like what happened?
No, then I went after Abu Dhabi. I decided to go back to Brazil.
Mm.
I decided to go back to Brazil. Then I stayed there for about almost 5 years in Brazil.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then I decided to come back to US. That time I was in the process. When I left the US, I was in the process of a green card.
Okay.
When I ended up going to Abu Dhabi, I lost everything that was
Uh.
car. So I came to do a seminar, and then I saw a lawyer. And then my wife at that time was putting a lot of pressure for us to leave Brazil. So I said, listen, I'm going to go to US now. If the lawyer tell us, okay, it's good, I'm going to, get you guys paper, we can go and try again. But otherwise, let's forget about it. And then I came, I hired an immigration lawyer, and 3 months later, he called me and said, listen, I have you guys' green card.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I said, okay, let's go, let's try again. And then we came back to US. Vic was 7 years old. We came back, and since then we stayed.
10 years. Yeah, I love that.
1 years, I think.
How much?
This
20 years?
2021.
Oh, since you've been back?
Since I've been back.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's crazy. So what do you like? Have you had like lows in your career, or like have there been challenges that you've had to overcome, or what are some challenges you've had to overcome?
Stephanie, life is right. Even then, I'm always smiling, but you always have our, moments of,
Yeah.
but only,
But you
once
have
again,
jujitsu to get
is,
through it, right?
and I think jiu-jitsu give us uh, that feeling of, it's so related to personal life, like you being under pressure. You got to be calm, right? You got to be, you can't give up. Always there's a way out. There is always, and jiu-jitsu gives you that. The problem comes, and you got to find a solution.
Yeah.
You got my
Yeah.
outcomes is always like that. I always try to find a solution. I'm surrounded by good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Jiu-jitsu also gives you that, right? You used to say, "Oh, I have a good one." Good. I don't have one good friend. I have many good friends.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And but yeah, problem comes for us to, you know, comfortable zone kill us. So I think all
Yeah.
the problem comes to not let us be in a comfortable zone, because otherwise, you can grow.
Yeah,
And
I
life.
love that.
Okay.
I think that's such great feedback because it's like I always say it's like being comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? Like in jiu-jitsu, and then you can take that and translate that to life. And I know like when I remember, I think my biggest lesson was when I was a white belt. I so want to go this one way because it was like all I knew, and I'd get, of course, the training with upper belts are like, no, I'm gonna block you that way, and then over time I figured different ways, and I think that actually helped like my brain pathways to think that there are different ways to go. And then I started translating that to life, that it's not always, because Blair calls me sometimes like the pit bull, right? I want to, or the bulldog, where I just want to go one way, but then I just started deviating a different way because I was like, oh, there are solutions. There are different solutions, that there's a million different things that you can do, and then you translate that to life, and it's more fluid and flowing, and It's really, yeah, it is such a spiritual sport.
It
It's really
is.
beautiful.
Times with problems thinking about and this and that, and then solution came. You know, you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. Why I was thinking like that, right? It's like you just said. You think back, and it's like, why I was worried about that thing. Now today, it's like we passed that. And life is all that. It's if you think like it's gonna have a solution, right? The only thing that is no solution yet when we die. Besides that, there is always solution. There's always a way out.
I have like one more question for you because you know, when Blair started, jujitsu was like the boys club, or I call it the boys club because, and when I started, I think there was like maybe four other females in the school. How is it now for you now that women start coming in and encroaching the boys club? Like, yeah, and I remember when I first started, Annie and I would be dying laughing like during training, and you'd come and you'd be like trying to help, and you're like, I don't even know what to do. You'd walk away as we just would be dying laughing as we try to kill each other. How is it that like women now are starting to kind of catch on with the sport and, you know, coming in?
Stephanie, I think it's not just in jiu-jitsu, right? It's if you go back in time, and if I would tell you, oh man, one day women is gonna be fighting the UFC and it's gonna be the main event of the night, probably 99% would be laughing. Yeah, that's impossible. And to be honest, I'm not saying that just there is a lot of women's fights that I don't change for any man's fight. Women goes out there, put a good show, good fight, a good heart, good. So it's amazing. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that any sport, especially nowadays, I think women it's more than deserve their spot on the sports and it's seeing all the like you said, it used to be just a few at the school, and now with women's program, with any,
Yeah.
I love
She's
that, and it's
our
so amazing.
fearless.
Makes me so happy to see you guys in the sport, and making that happen. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing to see you guys stepping guys at the school,
I
and yeah, I was in class, and I'm not gonna say names, but I saw she's taking the guy, and I can tell she's really taking the guy.
yeah.
You like guys is letting take no. And I think this is awesome. I think
Yeah.
it's more than time you guys, showing the power. It's so
Yeah, I know. Taking over. And I know that's Annie's goal to like take over. She wants just as many females there as guys there. So
as Joe Annie, she's gonna make that happen.
I know she will. She will. I thank you so much, truly. Like this was so fun. I love learning about it. And again, I just want to honor you because you have given me so much. You've given Blair so much, our community. And I know like people are going to love hearing your story. And just, I think it needs to be shared. So thank you so much for your time.
I'm the one that have to thank you, and I'm you.
See, it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it again. Let's do it
Yes.
again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank